Hi, this is Mike, and we're looking at the Bitcoin chart. So the BLX chart is where I'm going to start this video off. So the area of importance on the Bitcoin chart is from $161, in my opinion, because I believe that's where wave one of wave three begins. If you haven't seen the video that explains what I mean by that, I'll link it down below, as I always do. So with this view, we're taking the entire move up since then as wave one. Okay. So wave one was a type 1 week 5 wave move. According to this view, we have moving up in zigzags, 1, 2, 3, expanded 4 and 5. So obviously alternation between 1 and 2, 2 and 4, right? Which is pretty common, and what makes me think that that was the top when it happened is because it's a week 5 wave move, right? And yes, it's happened to me before where I have looked at a move that may not be a 5 wave move, a weak one. However, there's too much evidence on this chart to suggest it, especially considering the first move was zigzag, and then what the last move was a zigzag, right? And in between, no rules broken, right? So yeah, sure, you might disagree with it and may question it or whatever, but this is my view at the moment. So we'll go with it. So if we're going to take the view that that was a complete wave one, the first thing that I can see that's wrong with this is how shallow the correction is, right? If you take a fib, which I know we shouldn't do, but just for example, we take a fib to the highs and we have come back to 0.786, right? But what about the fact that this is a wave one? Well, not the fact, because I don't know 100%. Like, I can only tell you with a certain level of conviction, right? But there are certain things that we can do to observe this, and I think now is the time to do so. So, in saying all this, we've got to consider, a couple of things here. And one of them is that if you look at the correction from the top of the whole expanded wave 4D down, right? You look at that as, something interesting, the way the price came underneath 0.786 and jumped back up. Right, I think that's an important distinction to be made here, and also that um, that was just wave four, but it was because it expanded to the upside, right? But at the same time, in saying that, you also did see wave two only come back a very small amount, which is still 0.618 down here, wave two, right? So even though it looks like nothing, it is something when it comes to crypto. It's a deep retracement and seems to be enough. So that right there automatically tells me that it doesn't need to be particularly deep to be correct, if you understand what I'm trying to say, right? So what next? Well, I think it's fairly simple if you know where the top was, right? So the way that I've got it marked out is how I had it in the video when I posted it, except there could be a small problem with the way that it's presenting itself in this view. And I think it doesn't take into consideration whether or not this was a full correction at the lows here. But if you look at it like the top happened where it actually topped, it makes a bit more sense. So if we just go to the BTC USDT chart, which I use for my bit closer analysis here, right? I've actually moved the high to the high, right? And the reason for that is because there's a good possibility that this is a week 5 wave move, right? by the way it started, corrective, and then a wave 3 zigzag, corrective, and a zigzag. The only reason I'm looking at this particular view more seriously now is because of what's going on here, right? There's a good chance that this is an A, B, C, this is a D, and what we are looking at now is potentially, how can I say it, the beginning of an E wave down, right? Now, how could we possibly look at this as an E wave down? Well, the interesting thing about this particular chart, in my opinion, is the way that this 5-wave move happened here. Okay, if this is to be considered a 5-wave move here, then this C wave does not belong, right? The C wave does not belong. So let me just go down to that area and explain. Okay, so at the 4-hour chart, we can observe that potentially what happened here is that we saw, right, a wave 1 happen there. Sorry, let me just fix this labeling up. Right, a wave 1 happened there, followed by an A, B, C, D, and what we're seeing now is an E wave. Right, so that means that we are going to see a move down for wave 3, and I don't know how low that'll go. Okay, because at this point in time, if we can only observe a 1 and a 2, that means that we can't go above 25,100 and whatever that is, right? The wave D high. So all in all, it looks to be the beginning of a full correction with an A, B, C done, D done, and that's confirmed by a break of the low, and then something else is beginning here. Okay, now why is that meaningful? Well, because it is pretty small correction and it is a wave 2, right? As much as I'd love to say that it doesn't need to be shallow, it's not exactly expanding to the upside either, right? And given that we've seen A, B, C, D, we haven't seen a full 5-wave move unfold yet. So to me, I'd say that from this level, it's going to drop, right, for wave E. Now, this is not the same as what altcoins are doing, right? It's a little bit different. But then again, you could also say that the whole pattern in Bitcoin is different, right? The way that wave 1 was so long, it's different, right? It's not the same. It expanded a lot more than altcoins did. And I'd say it needs to pull back a lot more than altcoins will from here, from this point, right? Not to say they can't. It's just that the current way I'm looking at the analysis suggests that that's not the case. Now, one of the positives, I suppose, here is that, like, I'm not going to view this as a wave 2 of wave C for lower prices. I think that the ABC part has been completed. So from here on out, the only thing I can do is wait to see how much slower this goes in order to formulate the E pattern ending, right? So I don't know if you saw the last video, but E waves can be a bit strange. And given that this is wave 2 and it hasn't expanded to the upside, there is weakness and there may be more weakness to come. And obviously, this is why all of crypto is still in correction mode, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. Until we see the end of wave 2, which may be going completely down in its entirety before it shoots up in wave 3, which should be pretty extraordinary when it happens. But we're not there yet. I'll be tracking it. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.